The silent buyer. The market noise faded as the man led the woman through narrow streets. His grip was strong but not cruel. The woman looked at him, trying to understand who he was. For years, she had been passed around, sold from one cruel hand to another. But this man was different. He did not laugh, he did not boast, he did not treat her like an object. Finally, when they reached a dark alley, the man stopped. He pulled back his hood, and the woman gasped. He was human, not alien, not mixed, but fully human. His eyes were sharp, filled with fire, yet calm like someone who had seen too many battles. His jaw carried scars, his hands rough, but his presence felt powerful. The woman could not believe it. Humans were almost extinct. How could this man still be alive? "My name is Arik," he said quietly. "You don't belong in a cage, and you're not for sale." The woman's heart pounded. Her name felt buried under years of slavery, but she forced the words out. "Ilara," she whispered. Arik nodded slowly. "Ilara," he repeated, as if promising to remember it forever. She looked at him with suspicion. "Why buy me?" she asked. "You spent more than anyone would. You could have walked away." Arik's eyes narrowed. "I didn't buy you. I freed you," he said. "But you must understand. Your life is not ordinary. You are not ordinary." Ilara frowned, confused. She touched her arms, her chest, her skin. All she saw was a broken human body, weak and tired. "What do you mean?" she asked. Arik leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You are not just a woman. You are something the aliens fear, though they do not know it yet. You are a weapon, and you are the key." Ilara shook her head. She had heard lies before, many times, dealers, buyers, all telling her she was special, then using her like trash. But something in Arik's voice was different. It was steady, heavy with truth, still, doubt-filled. "Let her. How can I be a weapon? I cannot fight. I cannot even protect myself," she said bitterly. Arik placed a hand on her shoulder, his grip steady. "Because you haven't awakened yet," he whispered. Before she could ask, footsteps echoed from behind them. Arik's head snapped up, eyes scanning the shadows. Alien mercenaries appeared, weapons glowing in their hands. The dealer had already sent hunters after them. "Hand over the girl," one alien growled. "She belongs to the market," another hissed. Ilara froze in fear. This was always how it went. Every time she hoped, chains came back, cages closed again, but Arik did not move back. Instead, he stepped forward, placing himself between Ilara and the aliens. His cloak shifted, revealing a strange weapon strapped to his side. Not alien design, human design, old but deadly. "You think she is weak," Arik said firmly. "You think humans are finished, but you are wrong." The mercenaries laughed. "To fight us with a human weapon? Your kind is dead, soldier." But before their laughter faded, Arik struck. His movements were fast, sharp, precise. He fired once, twice, and 2 aliens fell. The rest stumbled back, shocked at the speed and violence. Ilara could only stare. For years she had seen humans beaten, mocked, broken. But this man fought like a storm. He was one man against many, yet he did not fall. The mercenaries retreated, whispering to one another. "Impossible," one said. "He fights like the old humans," another muttered, fear in his voice. Arik turned back to Ilara, his chest rising with heavy breaths. "We don't have much time," he said. "They will send more." Ilara's heart raced, but not from fear anymore. For the first time she saw humans not as prey, not as slaves, but as predators. And in that moment, she realized one terrifying truth. Arik was not saving her out of kindness alone. He was preparing her for something greater. In the shadows of the alien city, the whispers began to spread. A human soldier had returned, and he had taken a human woman with him. The galaxy laughed at humans. But deep inside, oh, the betrayal. The ruins had become a shelter. For days, Ilara trained with the hidden humans. She learned to control the strange force inside her. Sometimes it came as light, sometimes as strength, sometimes as visions. Every success made the survivors cheer. They began to call her their queen, though she did not feel like one. Arik stood close, watching, teaching, guarding, but his eyes never softened. He knew danger was always near. At night, the survivors spoke of plans. They dreamed of gathering other scattered humans. They whispered of striking against alien lords. Hope returned to their voices. Ilara listened, part of her proud, but part of her afraid. She was still learning, still uncertain. What if she failed them? What if her powers turned against her? Among the survivors was a man named Corin. He was younger than Arik, but older than Alara. His words were smooth, his smile easy. He praised Alara every chance he got. "You are more than a leader. You are a symbol," he said often. She wanted to trust him, but Arik's eyes narrowed whenever Corin spoke. Arik whispered to her one night, "Symbols are powerful, but they can be stolen." Alara shook her head. "Corin wants the same as us," she argued. Arik stayed silent, but his jaw tightened. He had seen betrayal before, too many times. One morning, scouts returned in panic. Alien patrols were closing in, moving faster than expected. "How did they find us so quickly?" Arik demanded. The survivors looked at each other, fear spreading. Corin raised his voice. "We must scatter, escape in small groups. We cannot fight them all." But Arik's gaze was sharp. "No, they should not have found us at all, unless someone told them." Tension filled the air. Alara looked between them, her chest heavy. Could one of her own people betray them? Corin met her eyes and smiled softly. "Don't listen to his suspicion, Alara. We need to move now." Something about his calm voice felt wrong, but before she could answer, the ruins shook with explosions. Alien soldiers stormed in, armored and armed. The survivors screamed, chaos spreading. Arik grabbed his weapon, cutting through the first wave. "Stay behind me," he shouted. Alara raised her hands, her power bursting outward. Walls crumbled, light flared, several enemies fell, but then heavy chains shot from alien launchers, wrapping around her arms and legs. She gasped, struggling, but the chains glowed with energy, draining her strength. "Alara!" Arik roared, charging toward her, but more aliens blocked his path. He fought like fire, but even he could not break through. In the chaos, Alara turned her head and froze. Corin stood behind the aliens, untouched. In his hand was a transmitter, glowing with alien code. Her heart broke. You told them," she whispered. Corin's smile was cold now. "You are a weapon, Alara, but weapons belong to those who can use them. The aliens will pay me more than hope ever could." Her tears burned with fury. "You sold your own people," she cried. Corin's voice was cruel. "Humans are finished, Alara, but I won't be finished with them. Better to kneel with power than die with pride." The aliens dragged her back, ignoring her screams. Arik fought until his body bled, but the soldiers outnumbered him, pulling him away from her. "Alara, hold on," he shouted. Her chains tightened, silencing her. The last thing she saw before darkness swallowed her was Arik still fighting, refusing to fall. The aliens carried her through the ruins like a prize. The survivors who lived were scattered. Broken, Corin walked beside the enemy, his head high. He thought he had won, but deep inside her heart, Alara swore one thing. She would never bow, and when she returned, Corin would regret the day he betrayed humanity. The Awakening. The city's lower levels were dark and filled with smoke. Arik moved quickly through the alleys, guiding Alara with steady hands. Every shadow felt alive. Every corner whispered danger. Alara followed, but her heart was heavy. She had been freed, yet she did not feel free. Questions burned inside her. Who was Arik really, and why did he call her a weapon? They reached an abandoned building made of stone and rusted steel. Inside it was quiet, only the sound of dripping water. Arik closed the door and blocked it with broken metal. "This will keep us safe for a while," he said. Alara sat on the cold ground, hugging her knees. Her body felt strange, her skin warmer than before, her mind sharp, like a new fire had been lit inside. "What is happening to me?" she asked. Arik studied her, his eyes steady. "You are awakening," he said simply. Alara frowned. "What does that mean? Awakening to what?" Arik leaned forward, his voice low. "The aliens do not understand humans. They think we are weak, but they do not see the truth. Humans are not fragile. Humans adapt, and you are proof of it." Alara shook her head. "I am nothing. I was sold like an object. I have no strength," she said bitterly. But even as she spoke, she felt something move inside her veins. Her fingertips tingled. Her breath came in bursts. She pressed her hands to the floor, and to her shock, the ground cracked slightly under her touch. Her eyes widened, fear and wonder mixing together. Arik smiled faintly. "You feel it now, don't you?" he asked. Alara whispered, "Yes." "But how?" Arik's voice grew firm. "Because you are more than just human. You carry something hidden, a seed of what humanity was meant to become. The aliens tried to erase us, but in their cruelty they helped us evolve. Every cage, every chain, every moment of pain, humans turned suffering into power." Alara's heart pounded. She wanted to believe him, but fear still lingered. "What if I lose control?" she asked. Arik placed a scarred hand on hers. Then I will guide you. But you must trust yourself, Alara. The galaxy has forgotten who we are, but it will remember. Before she could answer, a sudden noise shook the walls. Heavy boots, alien voices outside. The mercenaries had returned, this time in greater numbers. Alara's body stiffened, fear crawling up her spine. She whispered, "We can't fight them all." Arik's eyes hardened. "We don't run anymore," he said. "This is the moment you stop being their prisoner." The door burst open, metal flying apart. Aliens stormed in with glowing weapons. Arik drew his old human gun, firing with deadly precision. 2 fell instantly, but more poured in, surrounding them. Alara's breath quickened, her vision blurred. The world seemed to slow down, every detail sharp, the glint of alien armor, the hum of their rifles, the fear in their eyes. She raised her hand without thinking. A wave of force exploded from her palm, slamming into the mercenaries. They crashed into walls, weapons breaking like glass. Silence filled the room, broken only by the sound of falling rubble. Alara stared at her hands in shock. I did that, she whispered. Her body trembled, but it was not weakness. It was power, raw and alive. Arik's face was calm, though his eyes shone with pride. "Yes, Alara," he said. "You are awakening, and this is only the beginning." The remaining aliens scrambled out in panic, shouting to one another. "She is dangerous," one cried. "No human should have that power," another screamed. They fled into the night, leaving their dead behind. Alara sank to her knees, shaking. "What am I becoming?" she asked, fear in her voice. Arik knelt beside her, his words sharp like steel. "You are becoming human." And for the first time in her life, Alara understood Tozo. Being human did not mean weakness. It meant change. It meant survival. It meant something the galaxy could never control. Escape and revelation. The building shook with distant alarms. Red lights spread across the alien city, warning everyone of intruders. Arik knew the mercenaries would not stop. They would come back with heavier weapons. He grabbed Alara's hand and pulled her to her feet. "We can't stay here. We must move now," he said firmly. Alara's legs trembled, her mind still spinning from the force she had unleashed. But she nodded. Something inside her whispered that if she stayed, she would die. They ran through broken streets, where shadows twisted under alien lights. The air smelled of smoke and metal. Above them, glowing drones scanned the ground, hunting. Arik led Alara into old tunnels beneath the city, tunnels no alien used anymore. "These passages are older than their empire," Arik whispered. "They were once ours." Alara stopped, surprised. "Ours? You mean humans?" she asked. Arik nodded, his face set in grim memory. Before the aliens ruled, before they spread across the stars, humans walked here. This city was not always theirs, it was ours, long ago. The tunnels grew darker, filled with dust and broken machines. Strange symbols lined the walls, half buried under dirt. Alara touched one of them, and a sudden vision flashed in her mind. A city of light, towers rising into the sky, humans walking proudly. She gasped and pulled her hand back, her heart racing. What was that?" she whispered. Arik turned to her, eyes sharp. "You saw them, didn't you? The memory of what we once were." Alara's voice shook. "How is that possible? Why do I see things I've never known?" Arik's expression softened. "Because you carry it inside you. The history, the blood, the power. The aliens tried to erase us, but they failed. Every human like you carries a piece of the past, waiting to awaken." As they moved deeper, they came to a wide chamber. Broken statues lay on the floor. There, their faces worn away by time, but even in ruins, Alara recognized them. Humans, standing tall, carved in stone, her chest tightened. For years she thought her kind was weak. Only slaves, only jokes. But here, she saw proof of a great people. Tears filled her eyes. "Why didn't they tell us?" she asked bitterly. "Why did no one remember?" Arik's jaw clenched. "Because fear is easier to control than pride. The aliens chained us, broke us, and told us we were worthless. And we believed them, until now." Suddenly, a rumble shook the chamber. A squad of alien hunters had tracked them into the tunnels. Bright lights cut through the dark, weapons raised. Alara froze, her body still weak from before. Arik stepped forward, his gun ready. But this time, Alara felt something different. The ruins around her seemed alive, whispering, calling to her. The carvings glowed faintly, as if answering her presence. The hunters shouted, charging forward. Auric fired, dropping two, but more pushed closer. Then Alara raised her hands, not in fear, but in focus. The stone beneath the aliens cracked open, swallowing their feet. The walls pulsed with energy, blasting them with shards of light. One by one, the hunters fell, screaming, until silence returned. Alara collapsed, gasping for breath. Auric caught her before she hit the ground. Her eyes glowed faintly, fading back to normal. "I don't understand," she whispered weakly. "Why do these ruins answer me?" Auric held her close, his voice steady. "Because you are not just human, Alara. You are the link between what we were and what we will become. The aliens don't know it yet, but your awakening means the return of humanity." Alara looked at the glowing ruins around her. For the first time, she felt not only fear, but pride. The galaxy had laughed at humans, called them broken, called them slaves. But deep inside these ruins, she saw the truth. Human. As were never weak, only sleeping. And now, with her awakening, the galaxy would soon remember. The dealer's promise. The alien marketplace was alive with strange lights and louder voices. Creatures from many worlds shouted, bargained, and fought for prices. Metal stalls were full of weapons, glowing stones, and machines that hummed with power. But one stall was different. It was quiet, almost too quiet. A single cage stood there, covered with a dark cloth. Behind it, a tall alien dealer waited with a smile that was not kind. Crowds passed by, curious. Some laughed, some whispered, but all stopped when the dealer pulled away the cloth. Inside the cage sat a human woman. Her hair was long, her eyes tired, but there was still fire inside her. The aliens gasped. Humans were rare, almost gone from the galaxy. Most believed they were weak, broken, and lost in history. The dealer raised his voice. "Guaranteed. Your money back if she does not satisfy you tonight," he shouted. The crowd laughed. They did not care if it was true. They only saw her as a prize, something to play with or to sell again. Some called her a toy, some called her a pet. The woman stayed silent, but her eyes searched the crowd. She was not broken, only waiting. Then, from the back of the market, a man stepped forward. He wore a dark cloak, his face hidden in shadow. He walked slowly, with calm steps, not rushing like the others. The crowd grew quiet, watching him. When he stopped in front of the cage, the dealer's smile widened. "Ah, a customer with taste," the dealer said. "You will not regret this buy. Human females are rare and fragile, but this one is special. She will serve well." The man said nothing. He only looked at the woman in the cage. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world around them disappeared. The woman felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. The dealer mistook the silence as agreement. "Do not worry, buyer. Guaranteed satisfaction, or you get your money back," the dealer repeated with pride. The crowd laughed again, louder this time. To them, humans were nothing, only a joke. But the man was different. Slowly, he reached into his cloak and pulled out a small bag. Inside was a strange crystal coin that glowed faintly. The dealer's eyes widened. It was more than enough, more than he expected. The man dropped the bag on the table without a word. The deal was done. The dealer unlocked the cage, still smiling. "Take her, but remember, no refunds after sunrise," he said with a sneer. The crowd roared with laughter, but the man ignored them. He stepped forward and held out his hand to the woman. She hesitated, then slowly placed her hand in his. For the first time in years, she walked out of a cage. The dealer laughed behind them. "To think, someone paying so much for a weak human," he mocked. But the man stopped for only a second. He turned his head slightly and spoke, his voice low but sharp. "She is not weak," he said. The dealer blinked. Something in the man's tone sent a chill through the crowd. The laughter faded, replaced by uneasy silence. The man and the woman walked away, leaving the noise of the market behind. The dealer shook his head, thinking he had fooled another buyer. But in the shadows, whispers spread. "Who was that man?" one alien asked. "Why pay so much for a human?" another said. No one knew, but the woman knew one thing. The way the man held her hand, the way he spoke, he was not like the others. He was human, just like her. And something deep inside her heart whispered that her life was about to change forever. Seeds of humanity. The desert stretched endless before them. Red sand swirled with sharp winds, cutting across their skin like tiny blades. Auric walked with steady steps, but Alara struggled to keep up. Every battle left her stronger, yet also more tired. Her powers felt like fire inside her veins, growing, restless, uncontrollable. she finally asked, her voice heavy with doubt. Why me? Why did they chase me and not the others? Why am I different? Arik stopped at the edge of a rocky cliff. He stared out over the horizon where broken towers rose from the sand like giant bones. His face was shadowed, his voice low. Because you are the seed, he said. Alara frowned, confused. The seed of what? Arik turned to her, his scarred hand pointing toward the ruins. Of humanity's return. They climbed down into the ruins. The air was cooler here, filled with echoes of the past. Alara touched the stone walls, feeling the same strange pull she had felt before. Visions flickered in her mind. Humans laughing, working, building. She gasped, pulling her hand away. They're inside me, these memories, but they aren't mine. Arik nodded slowly. They are not just memories. They are codes, fragments of what we once were. Your blood carries them. Your body is the key. Alara stared at him, her heart racing. Are you saying I was made for this? Arik's eyes softened, but his tone was firm. Yes, Alara. You were not born by accident. You were born to awaken what was lost. The aliens think they destroyed us, but in secret, humans scattered, some hid in shadows, some fought, and some planted seeds. You are one of those seeds. Her chest tightened, anger and fear mixing together. So I was never free? My whole life was planned by someone I don't even know? Arik shook his head, his voice sharper now. No, Alara. You are free, but freedom means choice. You can run, hide, live quietly, or you can rise. The galaxy will not give you peace, but you can choose to fight. That is what makes you human, not the powers, not the visions, but the choice. As his words sank in, a sudden sound echoed through the ruins. Voices, whispers, not alien but human. From the shadows, figures stepped forward, wrapped in torn cloaks, their eyes sharp. Alara gasped. More humans, she whispered. They looked at her with awe, murmuring, she is the one, the seed has awakened. One of them, an old woman with gray hair, stepped closer. She touched Alara's hand and smiled. We waited for you. Alara's heart pounded. For the first time, she was not alone. Humans were not extinct, not broken, not finished. They had survived in secret, waiting, but even as relief filled her, fear rose again. If the aliens discovered this place, they would destroy it in fire. Arik sensed her worry and spoke firmly. That is why we must move. The bounty grows, the hunt spreads. But now, we are not two, we are many. That night, they sat around a small fire in the ruins. The hidden humans shared their stories of escape, of hiding, of waiting for hope. Every eye turned to Alara, seeing her not as a slave, but as a leader. She felt the weight heavy on her shoulders. I don't know if I can be what you need, she admitted softly. The old woman shook her head. You already are, because you stood, because you survived, because you refused to break. That is enough to begin. Alara lay awake under the stars. Her powers whispered inside her. Her blood burned with hidden codes. The galaxy thought humans were finished, but here, in the ruins, among the hidden survivors, she saw the truth. She was not just a woman, not just a slave, freed by chance. She was the seed of humanity's return, and seeds were meant to grow. The human spirit, the chains were heavy, glowing with alien energy. They dug into Alara's skin, burning her wrists and ankles. She was dragged through halls of black stone, surrounded by guards. Every step echoed, every breath felt stolen. Her power was silent inside her, locked away by the glowing bonds. But her spirit, though shaken, refused to die. They brought her into a vast chamber. Tall alien rulers sat upon thrones carved from bone and crystal. Their eyes glowed with cruel delight as they looked down at her. One of them laughed, the sound sharp and cold. So this is the human who destroyed our hunters, he sneered. Another leaned forward, his voice like poison. Pathetic, she bleeds, she cries, she bows. This is the future of her kind. The crowd of aliens laughed, their voices a storm of mockery. Alara's heart pounded, her teeth clenched. Memories of the cage, the market, the laughter of dealers filled her mind. For years she had heard the same words, weak, worthless, broken. But now she remembered Arik's voice, steady and sharp. You are not weak, you are human. The leader rose from his throne. He walked slowly to her, lifting her chin with a clawed hand. Your kind once thought they ruled stars, he whispered. But look at you now, a toy, a symbol of failure. You belong on your knees. He pushed her down, forcing her to kneel before the throne. The chamber erupted with cruel laughter, but as her knees touched the floor, something deep inside her snapped. Her eyes glowed faintly, her breath grew hot, her blood burned like fire. The chains rattled, cracks forming in the glowing metal. The ruler's smile faded. "What is this?" he hissed. Alara raised her head, her voice strong. "Humans do not bow," she said, and with a scream, the chains shattered into dust. Light burst from her body, filling the chamber with blinding force. Aliens stumbled back, shields cracking, weapons breaking. The great thrones trembled as the floor split open. Alara rose to her feet, no longer a prisoner. The power she feared now surged like a storm she could command. Her voice echoed through the hall. "You thought I was your toy, but I am your end." Guards charged at her, weapons glowing. She raised her hand, and a wave of energy blasted them into the walls. Statues crumbled, pillars fell. The rulers themselves staggered, their pride shattered as fear entered their eyes. One shouted, "Impossible! No human can do this!" Alara stepped forward, her eyes burning with fire. "No human you have ever known. But I am not alone. I carry every chain you forged, every cage you built, and I turn them into strength." Outside, the sounds of battle grew louder. Auric had returned with the hidden survivors, fighting through the city. The rulers realized their mistake too late. They had displayed Alara to mock her, but instead they had created a symbol. Aliens in the crowd whispered, shaken by what they saw. Some backed away, unwilling to face the fury of one human woman. Alara stood tall in the broken hall. She looked at the rulers, no longer with fear, but with promise. "Humans were never slaves," she declared. "You tried to erase us, but you only made us stronger. We are the fire you cannot put out, the storm you cannot control." The rulers retreated, shouting orders, but their voices trembled. For the first time in centuries, they feared a human, and Alara knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had mocked her, chained her, hunted her. Now it would remember her. Not as a toy, not as a slave, but as the spirit of humanity unbroken. The war begins. The alien city was burning. Flames rose high into the night as humans and rebels clashed with guards. Auric fought like a shadow of war, his blade flashing, his gun roaring. Beside him, Alara strode through broken gates, her eyes glowing with fire. Every step she took sent fear through the alien ranks. For the first time in centuries, humans were not hiding. They were fighting back. Survivors poured from the ruins, no longer afraid. They followed Auric and Alara, striking with stolen weapons and sharpened metal. Their voices rose as one, shouting words the galaxy had not heard in ages. "Humanity rises," they cried. The sound shook the streets, echoing through the city. Aliens who had once mocked humans now trembled at their rage. High above, alien ships circled, preparing to strike. But Alara raised her hands, power surging through her veins. Bolts of energy shot into the sky, tearing through engines. Ships exploded in bright fire, falling like stars. The crowd below roared in awe. To them, she was no longer a slave, no longer weak. She was a queen of battle, a sign that humans could not be erased. The alien rulers fled their hall, calling for reinforcements from other worlds. Their pride was broken, their empire shaking, but they still believed numbers would crush hope. Thousands of hunters were sent, fleets of warships gathered. The bounty on Alara's head grew even larger, yet with every enemy that came, more humans rose. Scattered across the stars, they heard whispers of her name. They began to gather, leaving their hiding places, answering the call. In the ruins of a tower, Auric stood with his soldiers, maps of alien territory spread before them. He spoke with iron in his voice. "They think this is a rebellion, but it is not. This is war. We will not strike blindly. We will cut out their heart." The survivors listened, their eyes burning with new courage. They were not trained soldiers, but they carried something stronger. They carried fury, and they carried faith. Alara joined him, her presence commanding silence. She looked at them all and spoke simply. "We fight not for revenge, but for freedom. We fight for every child born in chains. We fight so no human bows again." Her words struck like fire in their hearts. The crowd shouted, raising their weapons. "Humanity lives!" They roared. For the first time, they believed it. The first battle came quickly. Alien war machines stormed through the city streets. Towering beasts of steel, lasers burned through stone, turning buildings to ash. Humans scattered, fear rising. But Alara stepped forward, calm and unshaken. She lifted her arms, and the machines froze. Their weapons twisted. Their bodies collapsed under unseen force. The crowd gasped as fire consumed the alien beasts. The hunters who survived ran screaming. No amount of credits could make them face her again. Auric watched her with pride, but also with worry. He knew power like hers came with a cost, but he also knew the galaxy needed her. Without Ilara, humanity's fire would die before it spread. That night, humans stood among the ashes of victory. They had taken their first city, their first stronghold. Hope burned brighter than ever before. Ilara looked at the survivors, seeing not slaves but warriors. Her voice rose over the wind. "This is only the beginning," she declared, and deep inside she knew it was true. Across the stars, messages spread like wildfire. The aliens whispered in fear. The humans whispered in hope. The war had begun, and this time, it was the galaxy that would tremble, not humanity. Return of humanity. The galaxy was no longer silent. Across stars and broken worlds, whispers of humans spread like fire. Slaves who once bowed lifted their heads. Scattered survivors came out of shadows, following the signal of Ilara's rise. Every alien empire heard the same name. The Amazon Queen, the human who would not bow. The alien rulers gathered their fleets. Their ships blackened the skies above a ruined world. They swore to end the rebellion in one strike. Thousands of hunters, machines, and warlords stood ready. To them, it was not just a battle, it was the final erasure of humanity. But below, the humans gathered too. Arik stood at the front, scars across his face, his weapon shining with old human steel. Beside him stood Ilara, her eyes glowing, her spirit unbroken. Behind them were men and women who had once been slaves. Now they carried weapons, courage, and hope. They were not many, but they carried something greater than numbers. They carried belief. The sky burned as the first alien ships descended. Cannons roared. The ground split. Arik shouted orders. Humans spread into formation. For every soldier that fell, another rose with fury. Then Ilara stepped forward, her power bursting outward. She raised her arms, and the earth itself seemed to rise. Walls of stone shielded her people, while fire rained upon their enemies. The aliens pressed harder. One ruler stepped forward, a giant with eyes like fire. He mocked her. "You are one woman against an empire. You cannot win." Ilara's voice thundered back. "I am not one. I am all who came before, and all who will rise after." Her power exploded, shattering the giant's armor. The battlefield shook as he fell. Aliens who watched began to break, their courage turning to fear. Above them, fleets rained destruction, but Ilara reached higher, her energy spreading through the sky. Ships cracked apart, engines failing. Flaming wrecks fell into the sea of battle. The galaxy had never seen one human bend war to her will, and now it could not look away. Arik fought beside her, his voice carrying through the chaos. "Remember who you are. Remember humanity." Every fighter shouted the words. It was no longer just a battle. It was a declaration. Humans were not forgotten. Humans were not extinct. They were reborn, stronger than before. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was broken but alive. Alien rulers lay defeated, their fleets shattered. The humans stood among ruins, bloodied but unbroken, and in the center stood Ilara, her body shining with fading light. The galaxy would never see her as a slave again. She was the queen of a people returned. But in the silence after victory, a figure appeared. The dealer, the same one who had once sold her in a cage. His smile was calm, his eyes sharp. "So," he said softly, "the seed has bloomed." Arik stepped forward, weapon raised. "You," he growled. The dealer lifted his hands. "Peace, soldier. I am not your enemy. I am human too." Gasps spread through the survivors. Ilara's eyes narrowed. You sold me," she whispered. The dealer nodded, his smile strange. "Yes, I did. But not to break you, to test the galaxy, to see if humans were ready to return. And now, the answer is clear." Ilara's fists clenched, anger rising. "You used me," she said. The dealer bowed his head slightly. "I gave you the chance to show them who we are, and you have done what no one else could." His words hung heavy in the air. Ilara's fury burned, but she also knew the truth. Without his cruelty, she might never have awakened. The dealer vanished into the shadows, his last words echoing. "Now the galaxy knows humanity is back." Ilara looked at Arik and the survivors. She raised her voice, strong and clear. "Humans were never for sale. We are not toys. Not slaves. We are the fire that will never die." The crowd roared, their voices shaking the stars, and across the galaxy, fear turned to respect. The return of humanity had begun.